Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hotkeys podcast. This is a show for various opinions on all things pop culture and random in the world.
In the world, yeah.
And shortcuts and all such things. I'm your host, Mick, and today I'm joined by
Wil Dobratz.
And David Parker.
Quick question.
Shut up. It's the 18th of June, 2022. We are missing Colby and Landon, but
they are literally
missing.
missing.
Landon's house.
We don't know where they are.
We broke into Landon's house and
That is
we
true.
are using all of his stuff.
Yeah, and if you want to break into Landon's house too, his address is...
I wipe my butt on his pillow, and he'll never know because he doesn't listen to the podcast.
Oh, my.
Anyway, welcome to the show. Will, you had something happen to you.
Yes. So, I'm
What was your question? You had a question.
It's really stupid. I don't know if I want to ask.
Ask it. Go.
What if we want to have news on Mars?
Okay, tell your story.
What do you mean?
Well, it's everything pop culture and random in the world. And it's on a
We didn't
different
specify
world.
which world.
But the
I didn't
world.
say Earth. I said world.
Yeah, but
World.
the world
World in
implies that there's a world. Like a singular world we report on.
I could mean Disney World. You don't know.
I think world too can, in a sense, mean everywhere where humans inhabit. So I feel like even though it's like technically a different
Does
planet,
it have to be humans?
well, I mean, because like we're
Is
talking about.
Jupiter a world?
I mean, it's a world, but it's not part of our world. I would
What
say
if humans live on Jupiter?
I don't think they
We
can. It's a gas
don't know.
giant.
They can float.
And die.
All right, I'm looking up the definition of world really quick. The Earth, together with all of its countries, peoples, and natural features.
I mean, that's one definition of world. I was using a different definition of world. I was saying we can.
Where'd you get that from? From where did you get that?
Dictionary. Definitions from Oxford Languages.
You cannot trust that.
Why not?
Yeah, what does Oxford know?
Oxford.
Yeah, only one of the top leading
Well, bunch of-
academic
bunch of
universities.
Stuck up.
Anyway, I have a story to tell.
Does it have to do with dictionaries?
Yes, a
No.
dictionary flew out of the back. Okay, so I was driving on my way to here. You know,
In a car?
the usual time, like 5 minutes late.
Yeah. It's more like 12 minutes late.
I'm driving, and there's ahead of me and in the right lane, so about a couple car lengths ahead of me, car lengths, not cars, car lengths ahead of me to the right is this truck, and it has both a mattress and a box spring in the back of the truck. And the car is going really fast. It's going like at least 40 miles per hour, 45 miles per hour.
On the highway?
No, this is on Maple Street Bridge. And if you're not familiar
Oh.
with Spokane, Maple Street Bridge is a busier bridge.
It's a bridge.
Downtown
Over
to
the water.
Thanks, Michael. It connects downtown for the rest of Spokane.
I'm just trying to help.
It
Yeah,
spans the
of course it's a
Spokane
bridge.
River.
I'm giving
Water. It's a
a
bridge.
definition of what a bridge is.
Oh my gosh.
People might not know.
Yeah,
So,
what does
we're crossing
Oxford
this
say?
bridge.
What does Oxford say a bridge is?
Look it up.
Let me get to the bridge definition.
Okay, so you're driving across the bridge.
Nope, hold on. A structure carrying a road path or railroad or canal across a river, ravine, road, railroad, or other obstacle.
See, I had to specify it was over a river because it might have been something else.
Okay, anyway, I'm driving, okay?
You're welcome,
And there's
audience.
this truck with both a box spring and a mattress to my right.
What
And
size?
what happens, I think it
California King.
wasn't a big truck, but it was bigger
The
than
mattress. What size was the mattress?
I'm explaining. I said it wasn't a big truck, but the actual like mattress and box spring like couldn't fit in the truck. So half of it was like hanging out.
There was a truck on the back of a mattress. The truck flew off
The mattress was going 45 miles per hour.
over a bridge.
So basically what happens, this truck driver, I'm convinced is an idiot, right? First of all, he puts the box spring, which is the lighter element, over the mattress. So
Was it strapped down?
no, it was just in the back, tilted on the side. And so the 3/4 of the box spring is not actually in the truck.
I could actually see why you would put the box spring on top just because it's more of a solid structure. With the mattress, you risk having it like flop back.
Yeah, but the mattress is heavier, so it ties down both.
The real problem is that it was not tied down.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
real issue.
So here's what happens.
And the
right?
bridge.
So we're going over the bridge, which for the bridge, there's no way to swerve left or right, right? And so what happens is it flies off the back and hits the car directly behind the car. Now I am to the left of the car, a little bit behind it. And so when I see it fall and hit the car, I speed up really quickly. And so when I speed up, it it hits the car and goes over my car and lands behind me because it would have hit me if I didn't speed up. And so I speed up and get ahead of it before, and it falls behind me. Sorry, it falls behind me. And so now there's this This guy's missing this mattress, and I see cars behind me like swerving around it. 'Cause you don't want to obviously hit it on the. So like people like it's causing pandemonium, and the guy doesn't even notice for a bit. Okay, this is the second reason why I think he's an idiot. He goes into the left lane ahead of me and turns onto a one-way.
The wrong way?
The wrong way to try to get back because the bridge is a one-way bridge.
Well, it's a two-way.
It's a two-way technically, but it separates into a one-way. There's a median in the middle.
Yeah.
So he can't like turn around exactly. So he turns left onto a one-way that only goes right to try to get back to the other side of the bridge. So yeah, so he would have had to stop in the middle of the bridge to pick it back up.
Did you see the aftermath of any of this, or you just kept going?
I did not. I kept driving. I was like,
there was explosion. It was like that scene out of Matrix 2. Cars are just flying all over the place.
Will drives back home, and the bridge is just gone.
Gone.
It's collapsed. No.
Only the mattress.
It was like it's so it's dangerous and it's stupid, and it was just really frustrating. I felt bad for the person to my right who actually got hit by the mattress.
Did you see if it like cracked the windshield or anything? Or?
Nope, I didn't see it.
Yeah, that's extremely dangerous and extremely irresponsible that the person did not tie that down. Because I mean, things like that happen, and especially happening on a bridge where it's hard to turn around, and it's not a huge bridge, but it's a busy bridge, and so
a super busy bridge.
So if people are like swerving out, like it's really easy to drive over something like that, and
you don't want to drive over that.
Yeah,
I would rather get hit. I would rather it hit my top of my car than drive over it.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. The clearance level of the box spring can cause like bad issues because of its height. So
I get paranoid with my job because I drive a giant water truck with a bunch of
water,
like 5. With water in it. But I always get paranoid because on the sides of the truck it has like roll up doors, and I'm always like checking to see if I remember to shut them. Otherwise like giant water bottles will just slide out if I like turn on a street or something or go over a bump. I've yet to do that.
I would also be paranoid. I do not blame you at all.
Do you have a system for like double checking that they're closed before you get in the truck and drive away?
I mean, I'd have to like have a giant brain fart to not close it because I pick up empty bottles and I put them back in where I just pulled full bottle from. So if I forget to close, I'm like just just going about my day, just not paying attention. So I've yet to do that.
I feel like though you ingrained the habit of closing so much. Does this ever happen to you where it's like you don't know, you can't remember if you've closed it or not?
I can't remember a lot of things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like especially like muscle memory stuff.
Muscle memory stuff, and you're like,
when I actually stop to think,
did I lock my door kind of thing, and then I have to
what's that called when you're like just second guess yourself, like with everything?
Second guessing yourself with everything.
Yeah, I do that.
Mick forgot what it was called, so that's why I had to ask this.
I had a muscle memory. He was
second guessing.
Now I can't remember.
He was second guessing what it was called.
Yeah, but that's how I am.
So, would you second guess what you're second guessing? What it's called?
I wonder what happened to the mattress. I wonder if the guy like.
Yeah, he had. I think that's why he turned down that one way to try to go pick it up and go down the bridge again and then go back.
Because he's now on the opposite side of the.
It takes at least a couple minutes to get back there. Yeah,
and he has to stop on this busy bridge, run across to the other side of the busy bridge. I'm sure it probably stopped up traffic because there was a giant obstacle in the street. Also, though, like if I have a mattress and it goes flying and lands on a dirty, frequently used street, I don't really want to use the mattress anymore. Maybe he was taking it to the dump,
it just depends.
But the kind of guy who doesn't tie down his mattress probably doesn't care about that and is going to, reuse the mattress anyway.
Did the pickup truck look kind of shabby?
it wasn't the greatest pickup truck, but it wasn't like so it wasn't the what I call the compensation trucks where they're just super massive and they're huge and a bright color, but it wasn't the super small tiny trucks. It was like somewhere in between.
Hmm.
So
I can picture this pretty well.
yeah, because you have tiny trucks that
Are tiny.
are tiny. Or it's like all right, I respect that.
You respect the
You
hustle.
respect a
I
tiny
respect the
truck.
hustle. I don't respect massive trucks that just rumble on the road and their drivers are just the worst drive. Like easily, big truck drivers might be the worst. I'm not talking about like the
Michael's a big truck driver.
Pickup truck.
pickup trucks. Yes, I'm talking about pickup
I don't
truck
count.
drivers who drive a pickup truck like just around, not for work, are easily some of the worst drivers.
Women too, right?
I can cut that if you want me to.
Actually, no. I'll stick to my guns here because I'm on the road more than anybody here. Without a doubt, the worst drivers I see are women.
I can cut this if you want me to.
No, I'm gonna stick to what I'm saying.
All right,
All right. Maybe stop
Bring
saying
it,
that.
everybody else. It's true though. I've seen some terrible drivers. It's scary.
Yes,
Like
Well-
people that like have no right to be on the road.
yeah.
And I'm like, how
How did you pass your driver?
how did you pass your driver's test? What are you doing here? They're like literally like every day that I
Yeah.
run across at least two.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you not dead? Have you not killed anybody?
So, would you rather drive with somebody on the road that goes too slow, like 10 miles under the speed limit, or 10 miles over the speed limit?
What do you mean drive with someone?
Like in the same car?
No, in the same lane, basically. So, like they're the lane right beside you. Would you rather have somebody go blowing past you at ridiculous speeds, or would you rather have to try to get around somebody that's going 10 miles under and
think-
no concept of?
So I think for like my own safety, I would rather drive with someone that's slower because then it's like in my hands to like get around them and get away from them. But if there's someone like going way over the speed limit, I'm like, I think that's a lot more dangerous for everybody else.
See, I don't know about you drive more than me, so that you probably have more validity to what you're saying. But when I see somebody driving really slow and everybody else is going really fast, that person's now an obstacle for everybody, right? Whereas the person going 10 miles an hour that's blowing by everybody is treating everybody else as an obstacle, right? It's one person doing something dangerous that is kind of I think it's easier. It's hard. It creates more of a disruption. The slow person creates more of a disruption, in my opinion. I don't know.
I wonder just what causes more accidents.
Yeah,
Faster drivers or slower drivers.
It'd be interesting to look at.
I mean, either way, I think they both can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, like as long as you follow good rules of the road, either of those kind of people can easily be mitigated and not actually be a real problem. I think it's more of an issue if there's a lot of people who are not following the rules. I think usually if there's just one person who's not driving safely, you can easily mitigate that. So,
Oh, hopefully that never happens,
Hopefully.
but it will
It absolutely will.
because the world.
Yep.
wait,
And
Jupiter?
that doesn't include Mars.
I mean, it could. I've heard people want to.
Imagine if we had cars on Mars.
Cars on Mars.
Cars on Mars. That
Hey,
sounds
we're
like a
rhyming.
great movie title.
Venus.
No.
Yeah. What about Venus? Can we live on Venus?
Sure. Why not? Can we leave? Dave, is Venus a gas giant? Like,
No, it's not.
No, it's not. But it's very, very hot on Venus. We really couldn't live there.
So
It's the hottest
Can we
planet,
live on-
I believe, in the solar system.
you know what?
I think Mustafar is hotter.
What's the coolest planet to you guys? I have an answer.
The coolest planet?
Hashtag I still believe in Pluto.
Hear about Pluto?
It's messed up.
I
I mean, I'm kind of partial to Earth, but if you mean besides Earth,
no, Earth is the lame answer. Earth
Are you
is
talking
like,
about in our
where
sol-
we live
In our
where
solar
we, like-
system,
yeah, in our solar system.
I like
Coolest
Saturn.
planet.
Saturn with the rings.
Yes, there it is. It's the only one with the rings.
Saturn is pretty cool.
I like Neptune too, like the cool blue color.
Yeah, Neptune is pretty sick. But I think I am partial to
I like Yavin 4. It's pretty cool.
Gosh dang it.
Saturn.
Mick's like, too bad there's not
like
different
the ring.
planets in
The ring,
Harry Potter. Otherwise, I could start just listing Harry Potter planets.
Michael's like, we should name a planet Hogwarts.
Planet Hogwarts. I like the sound of that.
And the moons, Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw.
Hey,
Which
some
moon
good
are
feature
you?
facts. Write this down. Take the test. Find out.
Oh,
Stick
no.
a spaceship on your head and it'll tell you where to go. I'm a Hufflepuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have you guys taken the test?
I have.
What are you?
I'm a Slytherin.
Dude, I knew it. You'd either be a Slytherin or a Ravenclaw.
What's that supposed to mean?
Stuck up. Jeez.
What's that supposed to mean?
Dave, you're also a Slytherin.
Yeah, that's true.
Dave is
Dave's a super
absolutely,
Slytherin.
Absolutely.
Are you saying
For me,
I'm
it's
like
a little debatable.
Wait, are you saying
but-
I'm like a white supremacist? Like those that's what Slytherins are.
No, that's not true.
No.
They're like racists. What are you talking about?
No, Snape was a Slytherin.
Slytherins aren't racist.
What? Yeah, they're like always like insulting people's blood and like.
No, that's just Malfoy. Like you're
Don't
applying
other
a
Slytherins-
single.
don't
you're,
other Slytherins
You're
do that
applying
too?
a single like group, a single radical group, and applying it to the majority. It sounds like you have a lot of biases, Dave, when it comes to Slytherin, and you should really re-examine them.
So Gryffindors, their characteristics are bravery and chivalry, helping others.
I can't believe we're talking about this.
Hufflepuff,
Well, when
hard
there's
worker.
less of us here, it's easier
Patient.
for Mick to.
Hey, we're just talking. Hard worker, patient, loyalty, and fair play.
Which one was that? Hufflepuff.
Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff. See, can't you tell? Because that's everything I am.
Yep.
Ravenclaw is intelligence, knowledge, planning ahead, wit. Slytherin, racist, Third Reich. Slytherin is ambitious, cunningness, heritage, and resourcefulness.
I feel like I'm more of a Ravenclaw than a Slytherin. I'm not very
but why do you-
resourcul.
Only a
I don't
act
care
like a
about
Slytherin?
I don't care
Only
about
a Slytherin
heritage.
says that.
Um,
Only a Slytherin says that.
I'm really
You've
not
done
that
a-
cunning.
You've done a 23andMe.
No, I haven't.
This portion of the podcast brought to you by 23andMe.
I haven't done 23. Have you?
But no, wait, we can't say that because we
Use
get
code
trouble for false-
Hotkeys in the.
we can get in trouble for false sponsorships.
By who? The podcast police? No, I don't think so.
Yes, please, hands up. We know you're in there.
Have you done 23 and Me, Mick?
No.
I'm
I don't
surprised
like
you
this.
haven't. That seems like something you would have done.
It's kind of expensive, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's like $100 or something.
I do want to take a 23andMe, but I don't want to take my DNA. I want to give my DNA
Take
out.
your DNA. What?
You're very choosy with who you give your DNA to. Is that what you're saying? Will?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I only share my
That's very Slytherin.
DNA.
That's very Slytherin of you.
People.
All worried about your heritage.
It's not my heritage. It's my DNA.
That's part of your heritage.
No, it's not.
What are you talking about?
Nothing to do with my heritage.
Okay, maybe what's the dumbest? What's-
Hufflepuff, Mick.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah, there were some good Hufflepuffs in the day,
I mean,
Cedric Diggory?
you can be
Yeah, he
good and
died like a
dumb.
chump, bro.
Being
Dude, he
good
was
doesn't.
awesome.
Yeah, he was cool, but he died like a chump.
Hey, people die like chumps that are cool,
Who are dumb.
who are dumb.
Do you think the guy with the mattress, like, who was he? Was he a muggle?
I think it was a muggle. He was either a muggle or a squib.
Definitely a muffle.
A muffle. I bet a great muffle like you is gonna stop him.
Will, how much does it bother you when you say something wrong? Because sometimes people point it out, and I can't tell if it actually hurts Will's feelings or not. Like we all trip over our words. Will does it about the same amount as everyone else, but I don't know if it's like the words Will trips up on or something, or if like he leans into it. That it tends to be like easier for us to focus on it. Yeah. See, I mean, I just did it right then. So, like,
Well,
I want to
think-
know if it like does it hurt your feelings or.
I think it's. I don't know. I'm used to it. I think it's funny. I think I do actually slip up more than I slip up. I just slip up in funnier ways. I don't know why, but I feel like I
think
slip
so?
up in funnier ways than other people, and maybe a bit more too. I've always had difficulty with talking and getting all my thoughts out in a cohesive manner. So I'm just kind of accepted the fact that my closest friends are going to ruthlessly make fun of me for what I say with no regard to how I feel.
That's why I was asking. How do you feel?
That's what I was saying.
No, I'm just kidding. So I don't really mind it as long as it's not. It depends on what the subject matter is. If I mess up and I'm really trying to passionately say something and it's coming from the heart and it's like, oh, you said this, it's like, okay, now I'm pissed off because I'm trying to communicate something, and as much as I'm trying to, I can't really communicate it well, and I keep slipping up, and
Yeah,
you're just
I think
making
if
fun of me for
I
it.
think if someone makes fun of you in that moment, it really makes it seem like they're not listening to you or paying attention.
Yeah.
Now I feel like you don't do it as much as you think you do. But sometimes what you'll do is you'll like after you mess up, like that becomes the new word for you. So like you've been doing this recently with an Elden Ring boss.
Godric the Gafted?
Yes. I'm like, we'll just be talking about it, and we'll just keep saying his name like that. But Will knows he's saying it wrong.
Yeah. So there's a couple things going on there. I know, like it's with Geralt and Geralt from The Witcher. With Land, it really pissed off Landon when I kept saying, kept saying the wrong one.
Which one is the wrong one?
Geralt.
Yes, that's the
is the wrong one. Yeah. Okay. And so I would say it and make him mad. And I think that's what you got a kick out of Godric the Gafted. So I just kept saying it and you kept getting a kick out of it. So it was fun to make you laugh. So
yeah, I guess I haven't really made fun of Will for that. I just, whenever he says it, I just laugh and go like, ha ha ha, it's grafted, Will. But Will just keeps saying
like Grongu.
Gosh dang it.
I remember talking about the Mandalorian, I said Grongu instead of Grogu. And I just keep running with it because everybody's like, gosh dang it, Will.
Well, to the point that like half of us call him Grongu because of that.
Exactly. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of I don't know. It feels.
I mean, in your defense, Grogu isn't like cooler or anything.
Yeah. Does Gafted mean anything?
Grogu's a pretty stupid name.
What does grafted even mean? That's part of the problem.
Well, okay. So grafted, it means like to attach to something. So Godric the Grafted, he has all those limbs grafted onto him. So like, he has like all like, dude, that boss is so.
I think it's Jodric the Grafted.
Gosh dang. Have you seen pictures of this boss, Mick?
Does it look like Vecna?
Who?
Have you seen Stranger Things 4?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Here, I'll send you.
Are you going to?
Yeah, I'll send you a picture real quick because
When are you going to?
I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I'll send.
Or are you just gonna wait for the Volume 2 to come out?
Oh, there's
and then just binge the whole thing.
I don't know. We just finished Barry season 3. We're finishing up Better Call Saul also. So, we'll probably watch it soon. Are you worried that I'll never watch it or something?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, I sent you a picture of Godric the Grafted, Mick. As you can see, he has all these extra limbs grafted onto his body. Halfway through the fight, like when you get his health down to half, he gets mad that he's losing the fight, I guess, and he takes his giant axe that he's wielding and he cuts off his left arm, and then he takes the stump of his left arm and then sticks it into the carcass of a dead dragon. And then the dragon like becomes animate, and then he can now use fire wielding powers. And the video is like grotesque, but the boss is like fun to fight. But I just remember, like the first time I watched that, I was horrified seeing him do this because he's like screaming as he's cutting off his own arm, and he like looks around and sees this dragon off to the side, and then you're going there like, what's happening? Like, what's he gonna do? And then you don't expect that he's gonna.
What is this from? Dragon Age?
No, this is from Elden Ring.
Oh,
so
Dragon Age.
I've been
an RPG made by BioWare, same people that made Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew that.
Well, they're a big company.
Yeah, they're a big company. It's a big game.
They made KOTOR also, Mick. So
Knights of the
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
It's basically Star Wars Mass Effect.
Pretty much. But I've been really enjoying Elden Ring. I finally it finally clicked for me, so I finally started like really getting into it. Because I'd played it back.
You didn't like it at first?
No, I wasn't playing it a lot. Plus, I'd started playing it right before I did that month of reading and no video games. So then once I like started playing games again, it kind of took me a while to actually just get into the game. But I've really been enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. Will's been playing it too. I don't know if we talked about, but we even played some co-op together.
We played some co-op, and we were playing at the exact same time at one point in the exact same area, the exact same, like we're almost the exact same level too.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. It was really fun because it was like, oh, did you go this way? Oh man, it felt like I was playing like it felt like I was experiencing the game with somebody that was like, "Oh, did you do this cool thing?" Like, "Oh no, let me go check that out." It was a really fun experience.
So
I'd recommend it.
is it multiplayer?
Yeah, it is.
You can play
But
parts of
you
it
can.
multiplayer, yeah. But
Have you guys done that at all?
I've summoned Dave, and he's been absolutely no help.
oh.
I'm just kidding.
I tried.
kind of.
We were fighting Godric.
Yeah.
Godric the Grafted. Godric the Gafted.
Godric the Gafted.
Yeah.
We were fighting Godric the Gafted, and he did. We got really close to it. We almost got it once.
What happens in these games when you summon?
You need my help.
Maybe.
Yeah.
When you summon a cooperator, it increases the health of the boss, and it also it makes it so you can't use your summons because you have this bell that you can summon these like spirit ashes that, or some of them are really, really helpful actually. But when you do co-op, you can't use that. The boss gets more health, and the person that you summon, their flasks are cut in half, so you can only heal half as much. You're also leveled down to the person that you join. So if you summon someone who's like 100 levels higher than you, they can't just come and one-shot the boss. So it doesn't always make the fight easier. Sometimes it does, depending on what kind of builds you have. But it's also just fun. Like it was fun to play with someone else for a little bit. You can also play in areas where you aren't boss fights. I want to try that too with Wil, because then you have a little bit more freedom. You can play longer, because when you do co-op with a boss fight, as soon as one of you dies, you go back to your world, or as soon as the boss dies, you go back to your world also. So you're really just there for the boss fight itself. But there are ways to play certain other points of the game where you're just co-op together in the same world. So, but what Wil was talking about was kind of like when you used to play games back when you were younger and you didn't have internet access, and you would talk about being in a certain part of the game that like a friend is playing, and you're like, oh, did you do this? Did you do that? And that's kind of what Wil was talking about. And I did have a lot of fun with that, because we were both in the same area. You know, I was like, you know, we were talking about certain items we found, certain like strategies for enemies, certain enemies we hated, those birds at Stormvale Castle.
The birds and the halberd knights,
they have like blades on their feet, and they can fly around.
They're really annoying.
Ruthless.
Like I can't hit like my strategy in the game is to like throw fireballs at everything and like be at a distance. I'm basically like the biggest wimp in that game. I don't want to engage like on the ground. So I can't hit something that's flying around constantly. If something's running at me, it's like, okay, boom, dead. Like, but these things are flying all over the place. And so I'm throwing fireballs in the air, but they're missing. So it's really frustrating.
So you and I are playing the game quite a bit differently, because I play more like a melee build. So I have either a light, or either a medium or a great shield in my left hand, and then I have like a sword or a mace in my right hand. I don't really use any magic because my stats are too low to use any kind of magic. So I do a lot of like blocking and dodging and then hitting. You're playing a caster, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm playing a prophet. Is the subclass that I chose, and they have high faith and they have high arcane-ish, like they have medium high like arcane or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But they have very low intelligence, so they can't use the.
So you don't use like the glintstone sorceries? Oh, okay.
Yes, I use the fireballs, the healing, the auras, that kind of stuff.
So his class, Mick, is kind of like a monk class in something, or like a priest class maybe in some other kind of games, because you probably don't wear like very much armor, right? Because your stamina is pretty low.
No, I'm not.
I'm guessing
Stamina's pretty low.
So you go. Whoa.
It's just my magic. I can throw a bajillion fireballs and they do a lot of damage. So
you do lots of fire, and then like holy spells too, I'm assuming.
Is this PS5?
Yes, my healing spell heals me 100% pretty much.
Yeah, PS5. I think it's also on whatever the current Xbox is. I almost said
PS4
Xbox 360.
It's actually
but
on
that's not
PS4
right.
as well.
Is it Series S?
Whatever.
Series S, Series X.
Xbox.
One of those two.
It's
the
also
Series S is like the discless PS5, and the Series X is the more powerful disc
Series
Xbox.
X.
Series.
They really like just
dumb names.
Effed up those names. They should have just kept with the degree of turning
Xbox
names
720.
for Xbox. 720. Just keep going.
It's on PC also, but
you just keep going round and round.
Round and round.
It's on PC also, but if I played on PC, I feel like I'd want to use a controller. I like the PS5 controller a lot though, so and plus I can play it on 60 frames frames per second on the PS5 anyway, so I was like, oh, I'll just get it on PS5. You have it on PS5, right? Well,
I have it on PS5,
Okay.
and it's pretty cool.
yeah, it's fun. I really like it. I feel like it's not hard in comparison to like other Souls games because of how accessible it is. You also get a mount which you can use that makes some fights like trivial almost, because it feels like you do more damage on a mount. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it feels like that. You're much more mobile. Your mount can jump. Your mount can double jump. What I learned a couple things though, Will. So did you ever start using your pocket?
Yeah,
Okay, because what I did is I set the mount to the pocket. So
I did. Yeah,
okay.
I have that too. So
Yeah.
I just press triangle and down.
Yeah, that's what I do. And then I have like my summon on triangle and up. But the other thing I learned, and this I learned from trial and error. I thought this is something that the game should do. I wish it did this, and I tried it and it did it, and I was like, oh. But you can have up to 10 items in your quick inventory. Which often one of the things you have in there is your healing flask, which is like the most important item in the game because you will take damage and you need to heal yourself. But also you can have 9 other items equipped. And the way you change items is you just click down on the D-pad. So sometimes if you're in the middle of an intense fight and you're like far away from your health thing, you have to like cycle.
You're mashing that stuff.
Yeah, you're mashing that thing, and then sometimes you mash it too many times and you go one past
You're
it.
like, I
You're
gotta go all the way around.
So I don't think I was in combat. I think I was like, man, you should be able to just like hold it down and it like takes you to your health thing. So I held down the D-pad and it took me to my health. And I was like, no way. So I figured out what it does. And I'm assuming this was probably in previous games too. And I'm like, if this was in Dark Souls 3, I'm going to be mad. Or if this is in Bloodborne.
Did you go and test it out?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure that's a thing in those games. But what it is the first item you have in that slot, it will go to. So if you have your healing in your first slot, which I'm sure most people do,
that's the default.
Yeah. So like I have the healing slot in that one, and then I have the cerulean flask, the magic one, in the second slot. So I can just quickly get to both of those. But it does the same thing with magic also. So if you hold up on the D-pad, it cycles to your first spell. So I figured this is probably something you would use also. I don't use as much because I don't use spells very much. But if you have like an
I only
order
use
of
one spell, and that's Fireball.
Oh.
I feel like the D&D joke where it's just magic missile over and over again.
Well,
I'm
eventually,
literally just throwing fireballs. Eventually
you will have more spells.
One of the things I am frustrated with the game is I'll do something and then I'll get a reward and I can't use it. And it's just like, okay, I just have to get lucky in what I choose to do and have something useful. Like I can't use a greatsword. I can't use an axe. I can use a spear and a sword. And I'm lucky that I got a sword that's pretty cool. That's super fast and swings really fast. That I can just kind of get in and get out kind of thing.
I guess I can understand that. I mean, I guess they have to do it because of the viability of people can be using like any build.
Yeah. Because like Breath of the Wild doesn't have that problem, right? Because you can use any sword. You'll always either get health or get stamina, and it's always like it's this constant like, oh, whatever I do, I'm going to get better, which has a massive benefit. I mean, unfortunately, Elden Ring has.
When you do a thing in Elden Ring, though, you still get runes, and then you can use those runes
unless you lose them all.
Well, but I mean, you can go back and get them. Like, if you beat the boss, though,
unless you die again,
you will have runes.
Right.
So you'll at least have those.
My point is that the gear you get, which is less like I've done it before where I've gone through a dungeon. I've gotten like 5,000 runes and I was able to level up once or twice. But this was back when I was like a small level, but I get something I can't use. And so it's like, okay, I gain 2 levels in which I can always grind. Like I can always farm for runes somehow just in the open world. So I guess my complaint is more about the gear, that it's not always useful. So,
I mean, not with your current build. I mean, you can get to a point where it's something you use eventually. And that's what I like. That's what I like with some of these games is that eventually you can basically do everything. Like that's one thing I did with the first Dark Souls is I started the game basically being like a knight, but as I got further, I was able to become basically like a cleric because I like slowly started doing my faith to where I can like throw lightning bolts and stuff. And then if you play enough new game cycles, not everyone does this. You can basically like do everything. So you can do like pyromancy and magic and like miracles and stuff, on top of being like an insane like melee beast. But I mean, I think eventually you could use stuff if you want. But I mean, I understand like going through a dungeon, opening a chest, and then getting like something that you can't use at that moment in time. That is kind of a bummer. But it is offset with the fact that you just killed a boss, so you do get like thousands of runes right then. And if you can't necessarily use them to level up, you can either bank them to level up later, or you can go buy gear from vendors, because like the more of the world you explore, you find like dozens and dozens of vendors. Most of them sell a weapon or two also. And the game is great where it's not like there's not weapons that are like necessarily better than any other weapon. There are weapons that are better for your stats that you have, but it's not like, oh, you know, I need to switch off of this straight sword for this straight sword just because it's an objectively better weapon. That's one thing I think a lot of these games, the FromSoft games, are good at, is that you can like make any piece of armor or any weapon viable and extremely powerful, depending on what your stats are. So sometimes you have to search out certain weapons if you have certain stats in mind, but also because you get to choose how you allocate your stats. If you have a certain weapon you want to use and use it well, you just have to take a couple levels and you know, allocate them to do that. But I think that's something.
But
these
Dave,
games
I'm
have
not
done really
patient
well.
enough for that. I'm not patient enough.
I mean, plus, I mean, like it's not a spoiler, but these games for the last like 3 or 4 of them have had a point where you get to where you can respec if you'd like. It usually costs a certain type of like hard to find item, but you can usually farm those, or you get them throughout the course of a game. So like I haven't respec'd yet, but I have 4 items that I can use if I'd like to. So I can do 4 respecs right now if I want to. In the past, like in Dark Souls 3, I think I respec'd once. So it's not something I think you necessarily have to do, but sometimes it's fun to like, if you respec and you get a ton of points and you're like, you know, I actually don't need anything in Arcane. Suddenly you're like, I have 10 extra points I can put into like stamina, and now you're like, now I can roll for days. But,
rolling.
But I've really enjoyed the game.
Yeah,
like,
you know what, Dave? I respect that.
You respect it. Have you like exploring the game, Will?
So exploring is my favorite part. I actually don't like the bosses that much when it comes to like playing the game. It's the weirdest game. I don't like the bosses are fine. It takes me forever to beat them.
Is it because you just roll and throw fireballs?
Yes, just roll and throw fireballs.
I feel like this is a self-imposed problem.
This is my build.
So you did a build that like made the game not fun for you? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's a build that really rewards exploration, because I could just throw fireballs from a distance at normal enemies and it kills them really fast.
How much of the world have you explored so far?
I think I've explored pretty much all of the first Limgrave or whatever. Mm-hmm. Pretty much all of it is covered in little circles. I'm just now exploring this thing on the right, the
Caelid, the red
Caelid,
area.
Yeah, the red area.
That place is scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. I think I might go back to Limgrave and try to find some extra stuff, because I think I'm just a little bit too low of a level.
What level are you at now? Like 30 or something?
I'm like 30 something.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit too low of a level for that. Might also try to cross that bridge that was I came across a bridge that's like, oh, Godric the Gafted is still up. You can't cross this bridge unless Gafted falls. I'm like, all right. Might as well just do the castle now. So now that that's done, I need to go back and try to cross that bridge again, see if it's up. Try to get to that sorcery place. I don't know if you've come across the sorcery place.
Which one?
The school to the north.
Oh, yeah. That's, I would say, like, level-wise, that whole section, the Lakes of Liurnia, or whatever it's called, is actually probably, like, the next best place to go before Caelid. Caelid is, like, really hard, because when I accidentally got there early in the game through the underground section, and where I came out, I basically came out to, like, enemies where they one-shot you.
Yes.
So I had to do, like a almost like a corpse run, or, like, the opposite of a corpse run through the zone to get back to where I wanted to go, because I wanted to find a bonfire, or whatever they're called, the Graces, inside that swamp area. But the Lakes of Liurnia, I think, are probably much easier and like more accessible. I think the game, like, I think it tries to funnel you there because you're supposed to come out of the castle, right? and then
Mhm.
and then when you exit there, then you're at that place. But I mean, the game is like accessible enough that if you want and you like want more runes, but you want harder combat, you can go to that other section if you want to. Yeah.
It's a good game. I'm having fun with it. It's I'm definitely playing it a little slower than other things I've played before, but there's nothing wrong with that. I'll get it done eventually, hopefully by the end of next year. So
It's I mean, the more I play the game, the more I've realized how huge it is.
yeah,
Like I
and
feel
I don't
like
think I'm ever gonna get everything done in the game.
oh no, I feel like you'd have to be an insane person to do that.
Yeah.
Plus, like, have you been doing like some of the quests in the game too?
What do you mean quests?
Well, there's like quests. I mean, there's not a quest log, but you can kind of do interactions with NPCs, and then they can
Yeah,
you get items
came
from them, and they can do things. And
I came across one that wants me to purify Khalid or something like that. I think that's what purify this girl or something like that. So I might save that for later. I accidentally killed him without spoiling much. It was like, oh, okay. And then I came back and he was still there, and I was like, oh,
who was this
okay.
that you accidentally
So
killed?
this random NPC that was like, oh, go purify this girl, basically. And I'm like, okay. And then like this hound was chasing me and like killed him through the door. Like some like really janky like attack happened and it went through the actual building and it killed this NPC and the corpse was like not human. And I was like, oh, glad he died. And I came back and he's still alive. And he's like, you can't kill me. You'll never learn. And it's like, I didn't try to kill you. Like this random enemy killed you. Like, and so I guess I've learned I can't kill him. So
Oh man, that's kind of weird.
it is really weird. But yeah, it's I'm having a fun time with it, and I haven't done any of those quests. I can't find. I found one of them that I found the girl in the house, and then she's now can upgrade your stuff
Mhm.
if you talk to. Like
Your-
that's
your
kind of
little
a
spirit
mini quest, I
guys,
guess. Yeah. But other than that, I haven't come across any quests that. Oh, there's been one. It's like finding this beast. I don't know if you've came across like this guy was like, "Oh, you found one of those. This beast really likes them," and sent me to this beast.
I don't know what
I
kind
don't
of
know.
beast.
It's like I don't know how to describe it. You'll just have to see for yourself. Like it is a beast. It's not it's not like a Beauty and the Beast kind of
Oh,
beast. It's an ugly thing.
Are you talking about? He's like you take a portal to get there.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yep.
and you find the death roots, and he's like, "Have you given him
yes,
one yet?"
Death roots. Yes, I have.
So when you give it to him, he like eats the death root, and he's like, more.
Yeah.
I am not
I was like,
sated."
I was shaking. I was holding my controller. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
When you first get there, you're like not sure if you're going to be in a boss battle or something, or if it's someone you can talk to.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm guessing you fight him or something.
I'm assuming you do at some point because he looks really scary, and you're feeding these things to him called death root. But
Yeah. Want to buy some death roots?
would you ever
know.
play this game, Mick?
No,
Why not?
probably not. It doesn't sound like my type of game.
It's pretty freaky.
I mean,
Yeah,
you can just be like a
probably.
knight.
I get
I mean,
it.
you can just use like a sword and a
Yeah.
shield. You don't have to like do anything special. But
Magic.
and a lot of the joy I get from the game is from the exploration and seeing the different.
Yes,
like,
that's the best part of the
places.
game is like exploring, seeing what you can find and running
Yeah.
away from it. So
Well, it's like the coolest, hugest is hugest a word? Biggest fantasy world, but
Oh my gosh,
but
Dave.
there's so much variety.
I thought you were the smartest one out of all of us, and you just said hugest.
Are you trying to make up a word?
Yeah, I'm trying to really make you guys think that I'm a Hufflepuff instead of a Slytherin. Or
Hey, now. I mean, come on.
I think you could get into it, but I mean, I've learned not to try to get you to play games because you're stubborn, and if you say you're not going to play it, then you won't play it. So I'll just stop.
I'm
at
not
that,
stubborn.
I
I just know what I like, know what I hate.
I think you could like it. I think you really could.
I think if you gave more games a chance, I think you'd like them, Michael. Because like especially when it comes to RPGs, I know you're not a fan of it, but it takes a while for it. It takes a while for a lot of RPGs to get going and to get you hooked. But
Because you can
once
call
they
this like a
do,
medieval action game.
there's nothing better than finding an RPG that you just want to waste 80 hours on in the next week.
Nothing better.
There's
Nothing
nothing.
better.
There's almost nothing better.
Brownies.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it.
I don't know. I do like brownies.
Brownies are good. It'd be nice to sit on a brownie. So, uh, did you guys see that the Hercules cartoon is getting a live action remake
I
from
did
Disney?
not.
Wow, I didn't. Who is starring in it, Michael?
I think it's in like early development, so I don't think
Uh,
anything like that is planned.
I guess I don't like all these live action movies. I don't care, right?
I don't care.
It's just frustrating because it's like use your resources into something cooler, you know? Like I've already seen Hercules. I want to see something new and creative that's like, oh yeah, Hercules, reimagining, make money easy kind of thing. It's just I don't know. Disney's so difficult to deal with because they have so many good things and so many bad things at once. But yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't been interested in, I guess, any of the other
live
live
action.
action remakes.
There was one live action I really liked. Cinderella. Cinderella's down.
Cinderella's good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, just I guess like the story of Hercules is a little more like grand and might be more cool to see, but still, it's just I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's something that could be going for it. Is that it would be more theatrical. Hercules is not very theatrical in itself. The animated film,
What do you
so
mean?
it's not like I wouldn't call it epic as to describe it.
What would you call it?
Funny. I think it's more a comedy than anything else. As an adult,
There's some pretty. I mean, all of those Disney movies are comedic. But
yeah,
there's some dark, creepy stuff in Hercules.
kind of. I don't know. I when I think of like the most impactful like climaxes in Disney movies, I think like Beauty and the Beast is my number one. Gaston like hunting down the beast. Like that's intense. I don't really think of that as Hercules. Any kind of moment in Hercules. Maybe I'm just tripping, but
I mean, like
it's something that they can improve on.
I would say I'm not super interested in the movie, especially if they don't have Danny DeVito back as Phil. So
Get on the Hydra's back.
no, stop. That's not movie canon. Will
Get on the Hydra's back.
Just Kingdom Hearts.
that's Kingdom Hearts. Plus, that's not Danny
Where-
DeVito saying that, right?
No, it's not. But I just think it's still funny.
It's annoying. It's so annoying.
Yeah, so who knows when that'll come out, but I mean, I don't see Disney stopping making live action remakes.
Not if they keep making a lot of money off of them too.
Have any of them failed?
I don't think
any
so.
of them have.
Dumbo, live action Dumbo didn't do very well.
Yeah, but that was, I mean, after that they made more and they were successful.
That is true.
So I don't see them stopping.
Yeah, probably not.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop the shindig. Okay. Will just stared at me. Well, we kind of talked about for like half a second of making up words. Dave, you were wanting to, I think it was probably a few weeks ago you had mentioned something about wanting to like come up with made up words or something.
Yeah, I have a specific one in mind. We can do this now if you want. It might like take a while, or we can save it for later. But there's this. I want to make up a word for a certain kind of like feeling.
Feeling.
Yeah.
What? What type of what?
What type of feeling? What's the feeling?
So it's so.
Were you not prepared for this?
No,
Should I talk about something else?
No, I am. I just do. Any of you experience this? So this is what I would call a fear of receiving subpar or inferior service when failing to tip during a financial transaction that is finalized prior to receiving any goods or services from an establishment where the customer normally would not tip.
What? Why were there so many qualifications in that?
Because it's very specific.
I just call it pre-tip.
Well, I'm not talking about the pre-tip, though. It's the unwarranted pre-service gratuity denial repercussion anxiety.
Pre-tip.
No.
So like
that's the word. Pre-tip.
Like the freak out stage of like before anything happens, you're thinking about tipping?
Pre-tipsiety is what I'll call it.
No, so okay, like you kind of need an example. Like, so you go to a place.
Okay, give an example.
You go to a coffee place, and they no. You go to like a breakfast sandwich place. Okay, they're like pre-made breakfast.
Okay.
They're like pre-made breakfast sandwiches.
Right.
And they're like in the case or whatever. So you go and you okay, maybe not pre-made because then this takes away the inferior service thing. Okay, a coffee place.
What the frick is happening?
So you go to a coffee place. And
Can we move on to the next topic?
and you
You
order.
know what? Will, let's talk about something just you and me. Let's let Dave brainstorm what he's trying to say.
No, I feel
All
like
right, Dave.
I feel like if you
Go
don't know what
ahead,
I'm
go
talking
ahead.
about, then maybe you haven't experienced this. But it's like it's where it's a place where you normally wouldn't tip, like either because like they don't really do very
Like the
much.
gas station.
It takes like 2 seconds. No, but it's a place. It's a place though where when you do the interaction to pay, there's an option to tip. But you probably weren't going to tip because it's not that kind of service. It's not a regular tipping service. But it's a thing that they do the thing after you pay, like making a coffee or, something like they, make a sandwich or something. But you pay first. But then because you didn't put in a tip and they saw that you're afraid they're going to give you subpar service or like spit in your drink or something because you didn't tip prior to receiving any of the service.
This is a very Slytherin characteristic of you, Dave.
No, like certain kind of like takeaway food places. Like
I get what you're saying, Dave.
Did something happen?
no, I'm just
I don't. My
no,
first
it's
thought
a
isn't,
fear
they're-
of receiving like subpar
But
or
has this
inferior
happened
service.
to you?
Have I experienced this fear or this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would say so. Like when
Because you're cheap, so you probably don't tip when that's like an optional tip. So
Oh,
this
I-
probably happens to you all the time where you're like, I don't really want to tip.
Well, I tip
Because,
at places where you normally tip. Like I would tip at a haircut place, okay? And you pay after the fact. But imagine if it wasn't regular. Like imagine if it like wasn't in the culture to tip at a haircutting place, okay? And imagine you paid prior to getting a haircut. So you walk in, they're paying, they spin the iPad around and they go, tip, no tip, and you put in no tip. But you haven't got your haircut yet, and you're like, well, now am I going to get a bad haircut on purpose because I didn't tip them? Like, is that like that's the kind of thing?
I know what
I'm
you're
talking-
saying.
Okay.
I guess I'm not afraid of that. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
For me, it's like, okay. I usually I feel like I have a good grasp of when it's normal to tip and when it's not normal to tip, and I think the workers do too.
So when it's a place that normally like it's not normal to tip, but the square thing prompts them to ask for the tip, are they thinking like, oh yeah, sorry that this has to ask you about the tip, and then you have to feel bad maybe about clicking no tip because this isn't regular tipping kind of service?
Care. I don't think they care because I'm not sure if the tips even go to them.
You don't think so?
What do you mean?
You think management's
It's
just like
possible
stealing
that
all the tips?
I've heard horror stories of like management's like, oh, tip goes straight to
That
management.
was on a kitchen nightmare.
It was, but like it's different though for that because it's on a service. Like it was more of a like, oh, you tip the server and then the management takes it. Like this is different when we're talking about like if it's a corporation or like a chain, right? Where it's possible the tip goes mostly to the chain. We don't know that. So it's possible they don't even care. And if I was a worker, I probably wouldn't care either. I'd be like,
but what if the tips do go to you, or like a large portion of them? Like you then would want
care.
people
Then it's
to
like- I
tip
feel like
you. You
that's-
would then
that's
want
a-
them to tip.
That's right, but that's a bad attitude if you're expecting tips in a service where you don't normally tip. It's like, why are you expecting that if the norm is truly it's like a social situation, right? Where if you see nobody tipping, you're not going to expect tipping. So why are you worried about it? But if you see everybody tipping and you don't tip, then that's a problem.
Tipping is also like a big thing in the U.S. It's not really.
But it's
Well,
also
that's because their
only.
wages are so low.
But it's also
Yeah,
only
it's
in
not that
certain industries too.
Right. So
Right.
I get what you're saying, but honestly, I think it comes down to their expectations, right? Where it's so hard to gauge like if people are expecting the tip.
I mean, I guess that, but part of it though makes me think if there's an option and they spin the thing around or they ask, like there's a thing that prompts for a tip and the default is 15% and you have to move off of that thing. I bet there are a lot of people that don't move off of it or they don't care and they tip. But
That's how they get you though. That's the entire like people use laziness as a way to make money.
I know. So then my question is, but if it gets to the point where like sometimes like if you're working there and there's enough people that do it, then if there's someone who doesn't, are they gonna be
resentful
towards that person and then spit
maybe.
in their coffee that they're
I don't
making
think
for
they'll
you.
spit in the coffee though. That's like that's another leap. I would probably think like, oh, what a jackass.
Well,
Make the
what if
coffee,
then
so-
they only fill up like to 10% or 10 ounces instead of 12 ounces of my 12-ounce drink?
Then tip next time, idiot.
But what if it's a place where you don't tip? Like,
But that's relative.
Don't tip.
I just don't like places where you have to pay before you get your stuff.
I get confused so yesterday we went to sushi and we paid before we got the food. So we went up there, we got it to go, we paid, and then 20 minutes later they brought out the sushi.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I'm confused, where they give you the receipt to sign and there's a place there where there's a tip. But I mean, there was no waitress involved. They just like that part of the service is kind of cut out. So in that instance, I'm like, you still tip? Like, I don't think you tip in that situation.
See,
I
like,
always
that's
tip
one
in
of those
that
places where it's
situation.
like, yeah, if it's like a takeaway place, like since I drove to the place and picking up the food, most of it is already prepared. Like, that's to me, and I think in society, is not like a regular tipping place. But sometimes they prompt that for you, like on the receipt to sign before you receive services. And sometimes it can be like 7 minutes that you're standing there waiting. So then it's like,
Yeah.
So then I'm like, because I didn't put in a tip, is there going to be something that is affecting the outcome of my goods when that something wouldn't have happened, like that fear wouldn't have taken place if the payment transaction had happened after the goods or services were rendered.
So Dave, if you really want to solve this problem, always tip.
But then you're tipping. You're starting to like
Then you're
spend way more money on
over-tipping
things.
Yeah.
And you're.
I guess then live with the fear. You can't have both.
Well, the whole point of this is I want to come up with a word for this. I can't necessarily fix the problem, and that's not why I brought it up.
Nope, we're fixing the problem.
I wanted to know if anyone else had experienced
if you don't tip ever, you'll always be in fear, which is not a bad thing. Fear keeps us alive. It's a natural instinct.
Fear is
I mean,
necessity.
I tip
Yes.
at like places where you're supposed to tip, or like like a sit down place. But if I walk up to a counter
He's like,
and order
the
something,
only place I'm allowed to tip is restaurants, and that's it.
no, there's a lot of places you tip. So, but you don't tip at a place where you pick up your food that you ordered on the phone and then you drove there yourself and then waited in the lobby for 10 minutes.
Oh, I tip then.
What?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Oh, just I don't know. It's the workers.
It's the workers.
That's
still
your
have-
answer.
They
It's
still
the workers.
well, they still have to work to get the food. So
Yeah, but you're cutting out like a huge chunk of like what you would be tipping for normally.
I mean, yeah, sure.
You're
I
tipping
guess.
for the service, like you're not tipping
For the wait, come over,
yeah.
bring you the food, fill you water, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
waiting on you.
I
mean,
just
you
feel
can-
bad.
You can
Normally tip I eat in.
Well, you should.
But then, I don't know.
There's a huge difference of eating in, being in the restaurant for like over an hour.
I over tip.
You probably do.
Oh man, I have
Do you
too much.
want to?
I have too much
I
tip.
have an app I use. It's for tipping.
Does it tell you when to tip though, instead of
A
just
new
tipping?
a new
you
update
telling
coming
you
out
what to
says
tip?
this is an appropriate time to tip. Here's a word that's used with guilt and
See, you wouldn't
know what?
experience this fear, Will, because apparently you just tip everywhere they ask if
That's what.
See, so like that's my thing. There are places that ask for a tip that I don't think should be asking for a tip, and then it
Like where?
like the place I would like takeaway places, and so it creates this like
What?
awkward feeling that I imagine like there have been people that like complain about it enough that workers are probably aware of it as well. So I wonder like what that feeling is like if it's a place that they don't usually expect tipping, maybe their boss is like, yeah, spin the thing around, ask them for the tip, and they're like, oh, I feel weird doing that. Or I wonder if there's someone like, oh, I don't care, I want more money, like, yes, I want people to tip. So I mean, I work to make money, and if people are going to tip me, I'm going to want them to tip me. and if it's an option that comes up, now if it's a place that's like not expected of it, I feel like I still would be like, I don't care, like if it like people still can tip me and I want the tip. You know what I mean? So then I wonder if there's like a growing resentment between those kind of people if there's people who don't tip in places where it's not usually normal for people to tip.
I sometimes get a tip for my job.
Really? Well, I guess
Like a $20
delivery though is
$20.
like a tipping thing. Like that's a thing that people tip are deliveries. So I feel like
I mean,
that,
I
feel like that makes
rarely
sense.
rarely get a tip, but when
I
it
guess it
happens,
just feels
it's
stupid.
nice.
Wait,
You
what-
should, because you're tipping for no reason.
How do
You're
we turn
throwing away
this?
your money.
How do we turn this story into like Will's pity party?
Because Will just talks.
What?
It just happens naturally.
Do you ever feel this fear though, Mick? Like the fear I'm talking about. That like in that instance with the sushi.
The fear I feel.
Did you?
Fear I feel is like, is this appropriate to tip? Once I figure that out, I don't care. Like, I don't have the fear of like, oh, are they taking a crap in my food or something? Like, I'm not that level of paranoid.
Did you tip at the sushi place?
No,
You didn't.
I took
Okay.
out.
And so after you put zero, you didn't think about it at all. Like
No,
you weren't like, oh no, they're gonna see that I put zero in there.
no.
Okay.
Dave, next time you don't tip the person that you should tip, I'm pissing in your drink.
I tip the people I'm
I'll
supposed
do
to
it
tip.
myself so I can validate your fear.
I tip the people I'm supposed to tip. Will
No. Well, then why are you worried?
because people are people and people want money, and if they have a chance that they can get more money, and then
Okay, then. I'll validate your fear then. I'll validate your fear.
You know what I found though?
Be like, "Walker did
So to end this, because I like this is something that has been like I've thought about this probably for years, because every time I have this kind of transaction, this comes to mind. So I found a market research study that was called The Manipulative Art of Pre-Service Tip Elicitation, that was done by 3 like graduate students, and it was about places asking for tips before receiving any service. And what the research, it was like a 50-page research paper. This is the only research paper I've read from start to finish, by the way. This research, they concluded that it adversely affects the business when places ask for a tip prior to receiving any service, and they also receive less tips when they ask for tips before service is rendered. So people are less likely to go back to the place, and people are likely to tip even less. Even in those places where it's like the tipping is asked after the fact, people still are more likely to tip, or overall more money will be tipped if it's if the tipping is asked after the fact than before the fact. So I thought that was like an interesting kind of anecdote to this that I found, that people actually asking for a tip is bad for or asking for a tip prior to the services is bad for their business. Anyway.
But what did this have to do with the fake word thing or something?
So I wanted to come up with a word for that fear, like because right now what I have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6 words long. It's unwarranted, pre-service, gratuity, denial, repercussion, anxiety. I feel that like that's too long.
Yep,
So we
drip.
just
Will says pre-tip.
Pre-tip drip.
Pre-tip drip. All right, there we go.
I don't like that one.
The pre-tip drip. It's been settled. Thank you, Will. Pre-tip the gafted.
Did you guys see the video of Biden falling off his bicycle?
No.
Oh, yeah, he was biking on a trail. He comes to a stop in front of a bunch of people and just falls over.
Dang.
I think his foot got caught in the pedal or something.
Yeah, that's super. He's old too, so that's super dangerous for a lot of old people
Isn't he
to fall like
late,
that.
Is he late 80s?
No, or 82, 83. I think something around there.
Dang.
81, 82, 83. So he's old, so hopefully he's all right.
My grandpa just turned 89. 89?
Yeah.
Did he fall off his bike?
I don't think he bikes. He's smart enough not to.
Biden is 79 years old, for reference.
Oh, I was wrong. I might be Bernie. That's like 81, 82, 83, something like that.
Biden looks way older.
Really? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He looks like the knight from the Last Crusade.
Bernie is 80, and Vladimir Putin
Okay,
is
I'm
69.
tripping. Nice. We can talk about Summer Games Fest really quick because I do want to talk about that very briefly. It'll be super brief.
Oh,
Then we
go
can
ahead.
wrap it. What was that?
I said, all right, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't know if either of you have been keeping up with any of the game announcements or any of the game stuff that's been going on the past month, I think. There's been quite a bit. There was like a state of play. There was like a summer games. Like it was like basically like kind of an E3, but not E3, hosted by Jeff.
Foxworthy?
No. it was like
Bezos.
Jeff. What's his name? No, not Bezos. The Game Awards guy. Landon wouldn't refuse here. I think it's Nightly, something like that. I don't know. Anyway,
Pre-dip.
Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley. Yep, that's it. It's there was that. There was like an Xbox showcase. There was a Capcom showcase as well. There was like there's like a Final Fantasy showcase. It's crazy how
Oh yeah,
much
they
stuff
did
there's
have a
been.
bunch of they showed a bunch of stuff from Starfield.
Yes, they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so like they show like Dave. I was wondering if like you've seen any Starfield stuff and you've been excited for it,
I
or
haven't
I
seen
mean,
any
it's
of the
basically like,
new stuff.
isn't it basically like Skyrim,
Skyrim, Fallout
Fallout,
in
It's like
space,
in
space
basically,
Skyrim kind of.
which should be interesting. But they said something really worrying. They said there will be over 1,000 planets to explore.
Yeah.
I mean,
starting to
that
sound
might
like
just
No
be
Man's
Todd
Sky.
Howard being Todd Howard, though. You know, he
Yeah,
tends to like
that's
inflate things.
drama. Yeah,
I mean,
That's what they said though. They said that there are like literally 1,000 planets you
yeah.
can explore, and
And it's like I don't want to explore 1,000 planets. I want to explore 30 that are handcrafted.
right.
So, I mean, I'm gonna get the game. I'm gonna get it for PC. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna probably, I don't know, probably like it.
I mean, I probably will
dislike it,
too.
depending on where it goes.
The only Bethesda game I wasn't really a fan of that I've played is Fallout 76. It is the most recent, but I mean, it's their one dud, I guess, that I've experienced. I've liked
Quote,
all
derailed everything, end quote.
Yeah, I mean, I liked all the other Fallout games I played. I like Skyrim. I played a little bit of Oblivion, and I liked that. So if this isn't like a games for service online kind of like rehash fiasco that Fallout 76 was, which Starfield really can't be a rehash in the sense that Fallout 76 was, because that was just like a weird reskin of Fallout 4. Starfield can't do that. There's nothing to base it off of. So there will be enough original assets and characters and story and locations that I feel like it'll probably be good. It might be where 990 planets are boring and not fun, but I'm sure there'll be enough that the game will be enjoyable. What I don't know if it'll be as good as Outer Worlds though. Did you play Outer Worlds, Will?
I did not know.
Outer Worlds was great because that was also like kind of a funny game too. It was very focused. There weren't a lot of planets to go to. It was a fairly short game, but the gameplay was really fun. The story was really fun. The characters were really funny. It was very engaging. Not a long game in any stretch of the imagination, so it's not like your 80-hour RPG that you're talking about. But it was a really, really fun, enjoyable space Fallout experience. So Starfield will probably feel more like a more serious version of that, would be my guess.
I like look at the like talking head stuff, and it just looks so boring.
What do you mean?
Like freaking Skyrim, all that Fallout. It always does like the zoom in talking people with like a blink.
But
So
did
do
you enjoy
mean
Horizon
two
Zero
people
Dawn?
having a conversation in a game where you'd get to choose what to say? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that gets
So-
boring.
So like, but
Nick
that's
Nick doesn't
Horizon
like
Zero
making
Dawn.
They
any
have a
decisions.
blank.
that
They have
his
a
character
blank
says.
stare, and
Do you
like.
like Horizon? Do you like Horizon Zero Dawn?
I'm like 50-50 on it.
Because
honestly.
most of that is just literally like talking to people and choosing
All
what
that
to say.
stuff I hated.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that game is different. Where I'd say most of the conversations in that game were
Are completely
boring
worthless.
and had no repercussions on the story at all. For most Bethesda games and like Outer Worlds, your conversations meant something, and there were repercussions for the things you decide to say. So those kind of
Usually,
games,
like in Fallout, at least every game but Fallout 4, you can talk to people, and that can open up new options that allow you to take new routes, that allow you to, like, let's say, oh, you can talk to this person, get this password, go in through the back door, or something like that.
mm-hmm. Well,
rather
Fallout 4
than having
does
to
do that though.
Oh, it does. I played Fallout 4 for a bit, and I never came across that. But I didn't play. I obviously played a bit, not a ton. So
I want a game where I can like hype out what I want to say.
You can do that. There's like text-based games where you can do that if you want. But I know you don't want to do that. That sounds like something you would not want to do. If you don't like the talking heads, Mick, you don't want to decide what you actually say. What are you talking about?
Or just do it where I could just speak into the microphone
Don't make horrible lies on the show.
and talk what I want to say.
You want to not
sure
make any
there's-
decisions. You
I'm
want
sure
there to
there's
be a
like a
cutscene.
program you can do.
There's
want there to
always
be a
an
cutscene
option of
where you
like,
don't decide
why
anything.
can't I say this? I want to say this, but it's like, no, you can't say this. You have to say option A, B, C, D, E.
Usually, I feel like they do a good job of covering all the bases of like
Yes,
how
they
you
do.
react to the situation.
That's why
It's
Mick's
either
answer.
a Hufflepuff,
That's why Mick's answer
a
is
Ravenclaw,
ridiculous.
a Slytherin, or a Gryffindor
all right,
option.
Michael. How about
Do you want to be cunning here,
No,
or
Michael, how about
do you want
go
to be a
home?
loyal answerer? Or
How about you go home and play like Uncharted for the 10th time?
you know,
Yeah.
I probably will. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
amazing.
See, Michael. He just doesn't want to make decisions in games. Like I feel like that's what it is. Like,
Well, that's not true because I do like the Telltale games.
aren't those
But
like
those seem
talking
more
head
like-
conversation pieces?
No,
Entire game.
no, it's not.
But there
What's
is
the
that. There's a
difference?
lot of that. It's two people talking, and then you choose one of the
Played
lines of
Wolf Among
dialogue.
Us. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's different because in the Fallout stuff, it's like, oh, I'm wandering around and I'm like looking for stuff in file cabinets, and then I come across this talking roach zombie, and then it's like, oh, zoom in. What's he gonna say? What am I gonna say?
Yeah.
What are you
with the Telltale
Why is
stuff-
that
with the
weird?
Tell-
What
with
is
the
wrong with
Telltale-
that?
With the Telltale stuff, it's like an actual story, and like it's
There's
still
actual
like
stories
a-
in these games
it's
you're
still-
talking about.
It's still like a narrative and a one-way street.
It's not.
There
a
are
one-way street,
narratives
though.
in Skyrim and in other Bethesda games and in Outer Worlds. What are you on?
It just looks boring. It looks boring.
You have such a big prejudice with this.
He does. He really does.
It looks boring.
See, and that's
Looks
why, like,
boring.
I think Michael could like Elden Ring if he played it, but like, he's already decided that it's one of those games he can't like, so he just will.
Well,
never
I don't
play.
play that much video games anyway nowadays, so I'm very picky about what I choose to play.
That's fine.
So, yeah. I mean, I realize that I'm inconsistent because I would be surprised if like the Hogwarts Legacy game isn't kind of like that.
Well, it's
and
gonna be
I'm
exactly.
and I'm really excited about that game. So
Mick's
I
like,
realize
look how
that
good the blinks are in the conversation.
I realize that
God.
I'm like inconsistent. I can see that.
All right. Well,
I admit it. Anyway,
Anyways, we'll see.
yeah.
the one part of Starfield that did look interesting was like being able to like build your own spaceship and stuff. Like I
Yeah.
think that'd be cool. Like I want to build it to look like the Millennium Falcon. That'd be sweet.
That's.
You were so one note,
Anything
Mick.
different?
Come on.
Come on, Millennium Falcon's the coolest spaceship ever, isn't it? Name a cooler spaceship. Don't you dare say the Enterprise.
It's the Enterprise.
No.
I'd rather ride on the Enterprise than the Falcon.
Are you freaking kidding me?
No, I'm not. The Enterprise is such a is a much cooler ship in my opinion.
No.
The Falcon is a like it's a piece. Like Luke said,
Yeah,
what
what a
a piece
hunk
of
of
junk.
junk.
Wow, real original. How many times has the Enterprise got blown up? Like 7 times. There's only been one Millennium Falcon.
Wait, so you're saying the Millennium Falcon is better just because it's never been destroyed in its canon?
That's one reason.
You know,
What?
that doesn't mean anything. There could be some cool ships that blow up.
Well, why else? Okay, what else is? Why else is Enterprise cooler?
So it's basically like a naval ship in space.
Okay.
So it has like bar, it has living quarters, it has hollow suites, it has a bunch of stuff that's really cool.
It's like a
Does it
floating
have a
colony.
holodeck?
It's like a
Does it
colony.
have
It's a floating.
Does it have a
colony.
hollow?
That's what it is.
Does it have a hollow chest game board? No.
Well, you can literally.
Does it have wires that explode and you have to put it out? No.
I mean, yes, it does.
Oh
Does
my
it have a
goodness.
hyperdrive that fails like every
It has
other
a
movie?
core that
No.
that might fail.
Can it do the Kessel
Also,
Run in
I-
12 parsecs? No.
Well,
I also just
considering
like-
it can go up to warp factor 9 or warp factor 10. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the Falcon could go 0.5 past.
Mick doesn't
light
care
speed.
about warp factor.
Yeah, we're talking about light.
Warp
speed.
factor isn't real, Will. Not like light speed.
Yeah, come on.
I can't. I can't.
Well,
I also
anyway.
just like the design better of the Falcon.
I don't know.
I just like the asymmetric, look.
I like the symmetric look. I'm a symmetric weenie.
You have a symmetric weenie? Is that what you said?
I am one.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard. I'm not saying. I mean, I do like the Enterprise, especially in the newer movies. I think it looks cool.
Okay.
The best Star Trek movies and stories.
Well, we should probably wrap up. We should probably wrap up.
Why not?
The newer ones are more action than they are Trek. I mean, I get it. Like,
Yeah, they're more fun.
all right, let's
Mick's
wrap
like there's
up.
too much talking in the other Star Trek movies.
I mean, am I wrong? Come on.
You're wrong. But the best, like some of them are not good, but like the Star Trek movie, like First Contact, right, is one of the most action-based Star Trek films, but it still has some pretty good dialogue. So I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying in that films are more suited for action based stuff, but I don't know. It just
Sometimes.
bothers me that that the new movies are regarded as the best ones because they're almost nothing like the TV show.
The third one is a lot more like the TV shows,
It is.
which is my least favorite movie.
Exactly.
So there you go. Consistency.
Says the most inconsistent
My
person
middle
I've
name.
ever met.
Oh.
I'm consistent at being inconsistent.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. That's just
That
saying
means
you're
exactly what
That's
it
like
means.
saying you're good at being bad. It's just you're bad.
Yeah, you can be good at bad things.
No, that's not what I'm saying. If you're good at bad things, then you're excelling in things that are bad.
Yeah.
That are
You just changed the word of good.
No, you're changing the word of bad. That's what you're doing.
You're changing the word of good. That's what you're
What
doing.
are you talking about?
You literally just gave another
No,
word for
we're
being
done.
good.
We're done. This is stupid.
Yeah, because you're losing the argument.
No,
You're running away from the argument because you're losing.
Okay, so what do you mean by bad? All right.
You mean by good?
Gosh dang
So
it.
good means you excel at it, right? Excelling at being bad. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
If you're excelling at being bad, you're just bad. It doesn't add anything to the sentence. But if you're excelling at bad things could mean things you shouldn't do morally. So you're good at doing immoral stuff.
Yeah.
That's a different meaning than you're good at being bad, which is you're skilled at having no skill. It just means you have no skill. If you're skilled at doing immoral actions, it means you do immoral actions more or better.
You're explaining
There's a very big
like
difference.
negatives and double negatives. To
Yes,
Mick, or
that's all I'm doing.
positive, negative, negative, positive, negative.
Positive,
And Mick's
negative,
like,
yeah.
I'm saying it like a Sith. A Sith is good at being bad. They're like proficient at it. That's what I'm saying.
Then you're saying the second one.
What?
The second example I get.
oh no.
Okay, we're done. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
I hope we did a good job with our good show, and not that we did a bad job with our bad show.
Are you mad?
It's annoying.
Why are you annoyed?
All right, well, we'll be back later. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Michael, are you seriously mad?
No.
Okay, good.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Hotkeys podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube, and other podcasting platforms. Visit our website, www.hotkeyspodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Hotkeys Podcast and join our Facebook group at facebook.com/HKHotkeys. Please like and review us and subscribe to the show on whichever platforms you use. Finally, you can contact us via email at hosts@hotkeyspodcast.com.